Here we are, everybody. We are back for another episode of what is in the know and in the zone. Boy, oh boy, what a week it has been since the World Cup kicked off. The NBA has officially been over now. The NHL has ended as well. We have new champions in the NBA and the NHL. We also have a couple of trades to talk. Well, one trade to talk about. We got a new coaching hire. And then we also got to talk about some of our picks for this week. And we also got a little spin on Light the Lamp as well. Needless to say, we got a lot to talk about this week, whether it's the World Cup, NBA, NHL. So we're going to get right into it right away. Guys, the Knicks did it in 5. Ultimately, guys, what were your thoughts on the NBA Finals as a whole? And what do you think went wrong? Was it Wemby choking? Was this growing pains? Or was this just the Knicks being the much better team at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think Jalen Brunson just took over the series. Mental toughness for sure was in the Knicks' favor. I think Dan Houston had something to do with it too. But yeah, just unreal comeback ability too. Not a lot of teams in this NBA, when you go down 20, usually the body language of these guys is shit and they give up. But when you have dogs in New York, it's usually going to come together. And it's funny because people talk about how great Towns was to start the series. And then as the series went on, he just absolutely got worse. Like in game 5, when they won, he had 2 points. And he got fouled out. So, I mean, Jalen Brunson dropped 45. I'll let Aulino kind of talk a little more about that. But, yeah, in my short answer, Jalen Brunson took it over, the mental toughness of this team, and I just love the way Mike Brown adjusted.
Aulino?
I agree. Perfectly said there. They have dogs on this team. And we even saw, like, when they were going down 13, 16, it looked like, okay, San Antonio's going to close this out. They're going to bring it back to San Antonio and have a chance, but the Knicks came back, willed themselves up there with Jalen Brunson's MVP performance in the finals. So I thought this was a valuable learning experience for Wemby. He's young in his career. He has to learn from this. It's going to suck right now because they kind of let it slip just on the way they were playing too. This wasn't the first lead they gave up. We saw what OG did with that game winner in Game 4. So back-to-back games, I think the team has to address that in the offseason, but I think they'll learn from there. But the Knicks, it's good to see one drought end there. Maybe this year we can see the Leafs
hopefully
put the wheels in motion, and this time next year.
We need to invite Dan House into the Scotiabank Arena here.
And
it's got to happen.
That I will say, I did say I wanted the Knicks to win, as much as I did say it would also be nice to see Wemby win. But when organizations like the Knicks win after these long historical droughts, it only gives us hope as Leafs fans that we're getting that much closer to getting a taste of sweet, sweet victory, just like how the Carolina Hurricanes did. And, if there was one thing that we talked about prior to Game 5 and Game 6 was that we felt like this series was either going to be Aulino alluded to it, I alluded to it, but ultimately we're all in the same boat, but it was a little bit different across all three of us. That was a long Game 6. That was long 6 games, that series. And, I do think ultimately the better team did win. The team that found their game when they needed it to find it. And I think the crazy thing is the drop-off. Like, when you look at what Vegas was playing with, more or less house money, at the very beginning of the series, it was like, what happened between those games and the rest of the series? Because, some of their key players, yes, I know it's a war of attrition and guys get hurt, guys get banged up, but you got to find a way to will yourself to victory. And, it sucked losing Carlson there. Probably broke his wrist or, broke his hand, whichever it was. But they looked like a shell of themselves in Game 5 and in Game 6. Guys, what do you attribute the success and the determination of the Carolina Hurricanes to finally, after 8 years of sticking with Rod Brind'Amour and trusting this process, finally hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup after 20 years since the last time they did it?
I mean, the better team for sure won. The Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde at the beginning of the series between both teams, I wasn't liking it too much. You had, in one period, Carolina dominate. The next period, Vegas puts up 3 goals in 5 minutes. As soon as Game 4 ended, I kind of saw a different Carolina team, even though they did win Game 4, they barely won. I just kind of had a feeling where it was like, you know what, that's a massive win. It's 2-2. You're now going back home. So now it's best of 3. You have home ice advantage in 2 of those 3. Let's see what happens. And Marner, he did have a good Game 4. I think he got 1 assist. But again, the caveat of this whole series was the Game 3. They blew their load in that game. They pulled Freddie. That completely changes the series. And it's funny, people, like, when you say that, it's like, oh, well, how do you blame Vegas for owning a goalie to lose a series? Well, Bussy had a completely different approach to playing the position. Like, Freddie is a lot more, like, chilling than that, steady, whereas Bussy kind of reminded me of Jonathan Quick. Very aggressive, gets in your face. And you could tell Vegas was kind of affected by that. Like, they were scared to shoot. Carolina played a lot more confident in their zone, a lot more like loose and freely. And I hate to be the guy, but the top guys on Vegas really kind of shied away from the big moment here. Not going to just say Mitch, but Eichel was pretty bad. I mean, missing that open shot there in game 6 is tough. Stone was pretty bad in the series too. And like you said, war of attrition. You know, William Karlsson makes a great recovery, comes back for, I think it was the second round, looked amazing. And as soon as you lose that type of player in your lineup, it's a big hole. Like, we saw Marner playing center at times. Hurdle, even though for the most part was the third line, they put him up to second line at times. Howden had an unbelievable playoff, but again, the last couple games didn't really do as much. But you got to give Carolina credit. I think they were just the better overall team. I don't want to hear a damn thing now about age being a thing, because Jordan Stahl just won the Conn Smythe as the oldest player. When you're in it, you're in it. When you want to be in it, you're in it as well, man. Taylor Hall, the first player to win the Hart, the Stanley Cup, and the Rookie of the Year with 3 different teams.
Damn, that's a stat. Edmonton.
That's a trivia question right there. Right? That's a great trivia question.
The only guy ever to do it.
Yeah, Aulino, I mean, Chris more or less rambled a bit there, but, like, what were your thoughts on, like, the success and how, I guess, Carolina, it seemed like they just rolled with the punches a little bit better than Vegas, whether it was committing to make the goalie change, whether a little bit of that was on Freddie Anderson admitting that he needed a break due to the roller coaster of emotions that he did go through in getting there, not just on a personal level with the Claude Lemieux stuff, but also with, like, realizing that, you know what, I need to step away because I'm not helping my team, and them not being shy or afraid to do so, because I feel like not a downfall to Vegas, so to speak, but towards kind of like not wanting to give his other goalies a shot maybe might have made a difference. Although Carter Hart did play well. He played really well all playoff long. He was consistently, though, letting in like 3 to 4 goals a game, which obviously you can't allow, but they found success with that, but ultimately they fell short. So what do you chalk it up to, and are we going to see now teams just wanting to copy Carolina? Is this going to be the new blueprint, kind of like when Tampa found their success and when Florida found their success?
Yeah, I agree. I think they will. As crazy as this is to say, I think they're all going to find some of these guys in free agency. They won't go after like some of these names that are out there for like 13 to 14 mil and overpay for a lot of them. I think they're going to try and stick with what they have and just add those supplementary pieces there. But you guys both brought it up there. Bussy, like, he comes in, completely changed it for me for the Carolina Hurricanes. I think he won the series just by coming in the net and changing the look. How confident they were afterwards. It kind of like maybe surprised Vegas a little bit. Like, okay, now we have to beat this guy. He's playing well, and now the whole team got all this momentum. I think if Vegas were to put Hill in net it would have gave them another look too. It could have got them another game, and then maybe they're going back and forth for a game 7. But Torts was only there for 8 games. He knew what he was getting himself into, in and out. I don't think after seeing this group, the way he came in, he had any intention of staying past this playoff run. So I think he's going to go get his bag now in the offseason. And I think Vegas was affected with Carlson going down because that duo, him and Marner, seemed to click really well. Howden was there too, so he was finding some success there. With Vegas now, they're in a tough situation because the cap, although it's going up, you got to make a decision. Like, what's Pietrangelo going to do? Is he playing next year? Is he going to be LTIR? Are you going to trade the contract at the draft? Like, that's a big hole that they have, and they have to address it on the back end. So it was an entertaining series. Good for Rod Brindamore, 20 years apart. Jordan Stahl getting it in Carolina, the second Stahl brother there. And big game Mitch. What can I say? He was big game Mitch, but in all fairness, this was the biggest game. So he's not biggest game Mitch. He didn't show up. We're doing baby steps with Mitch. Got to coddle him a little bit. He'll get there. But right now, big game Mitch, the game 1 to 4 is there. We're going to work with him with the next coach that they brought in, the assistant coach. So he knows how to work with these guys. And next year, 5, 6, and 7, Mitch, we're going to work on it. Baby steps.
You got GTA Torts now gone. It's gone MIA. Went to another city. And then you have, it's like with Mitch Marner, like with what Aulino just said, you're training your kid how to ride a bike. And they're doing really well. You take the training wheels off, and then they have a really bad accident. And they scrape their knee terribly. So you just put them back on. And you say, you know what, maybe next time. Maybe next time, Mitch.
Next year. It'll all be different. He's getting a hang of it. He's learning.
He's getting the hang of it.
I mean, the training your bike analogy is a hard one to swallow because he's known how to ride a bike for a long fucking time. He clearly just chooses when he wants to ride it and doesn't want to ride it, whether it has training wheels or not. Like I said, leading up to the end of this series when we've had our time to talk about Mitch and the playoffs, he had an unbelievable playoff. He was obviously one of the best players all playoffs long. Can't take anything away from him. But I don't know if it's PTSD or whatever it might be. It's, maybe it is. It's just going to take him more time. Maybe he's a guy that wins in his late 30s as opposed to earlier in his career. No, because it happens, Yeah. And
maybe he won't win.
Or maybe that's
Ask Jerome
the case
McGinley
too.
how he feels about that.
And you know what? That's a long road and a tough one to go down. But he definitely had a great playoff on the other side of it. But you got to show up in order to be on the right side of it. And hopefully he takes those lessons he learns. And whether he takes the next steps or Vegas makes the right steps, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
They're going to be, like you've mentioned it too when we've been watching the games, they're going to be a completely different team next year. Like the way they're going to be structured, like you're probably not going to have Anderson back. You have to somehow find a way to re-sign Dorofeyev now, so that's like at least $8 million a year.
Is Howden's contract up too?
Yeah. Howden's going to be a free agent as well as of July 1st. There's so many things. Are you going to try to trade Hurdle?
You have to. Like you can't have his 6 whatever million. No, yeah, he's gone.
So although their coaching hire with hiring their assistant coach, he knows the guys in the room. He knows how to get the most out of them clearly because he's been around the organization for quite some time. I'm not too worried about his hiring. I think they'll be just fine. We all know that they're not afraid to make changes there. The question is how much change are they going to make? And
it's got to work out because, Vegas, they have the patience of a squirrel.
Well, I mean,
it doesn't work out. They're going to completely overhaul and revamp, which is ballsy, but it's good.
But in that market, though, you kind of have to because
they don't have real fans. They don't
really have fans. Like, sure, it looked like they had a lot of fans, but it's a lot of tourists. It's a lot of traveling fans. But they're a great hockey success story, that city. It's interesting to see the game grow, but, kudos to them on a hard-fought battle. It came up short. Better luck next time, I guess. But they're going to be very different next year. Before we move on, congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes and winning the Stanley Cup for the second time in 20 years. Congratulations to Jordan Staal, the oldest player in NHL history to win the Conn Smythe. Well earned, super deserved. Pros pro.
Pros pro.
This might be a little bit of a hot take.
Shout out to Rantanen and Marner.
Yeah,
for helping Carolina get Stankoven.
Does this make it a little bit easier to say Jordan Staal is I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but no. Jordan Staal is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, eventually. Not yet.
No. Like he will get in the Hall. I think it's just not the first time around. Is that? Well, he's the oldest guy to win a
Conn Smythe. I think that's going to hold.
Two Stanley Cups. Oldest guy to win a Conn Smythe. He tied Mario Lemieux's record for goals in a Stanley Cup final.
Age, yeah,
with those accolades, I guess. But like, if you think
he's not first
historically with like his point totals, then no. But yeah,
I'm not saying he's once he hangs him up, he's going in.
I mean, it's a tough conversation. Like, is Justin Williams a Hall of Famer?
I mean, he's close. With the playoff performances, you almost feel like you have to.
I think he's eligible this year too.
But it's not you see, like, I love when we get into these combos because it's not just about the playoffs.
No, I understand.
It is, but it's not. So like Jordan Stahl's career year in points is 50. Yeah, what he did this year is insane because last year he was dog shit against Florida. But to say he's a Hall of Famer, I don't know, man. That's kind of close. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just really harsh on it. But like, if you're telling me guys like Marleau, again, he hasn't won, but second all time in games, 500 goals. Like, if he's not a Hall of Famer, I'm putting him in the same breath as Justin Williams, Jordan Staal, if not lower than Justin Williams.
But Justin, okay, I can see where you're coming from. It's curious to see because
Williams, I think, won 3 cups.
Mr. Game 7.
Yeah, he is.
He won 2 with the Kings and one with Carolina. Yeah. And again, the points are not going to jump out at you, but he has a Conn Smythe. And yeah, Mr. Game 7. So if Jordan Staal could do it again, not win the Conn Smythe, but if they can win the cup again, then maybe, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer. But right now, really, he's in the Hall of Very Good for me.
Aulino?
Yeah, very good. I like that. But I think he's going to, like with this, it's such a hard record, especially with what he did, to overlook. Like, I think he's going to get a strong consideration. Like, I think they'll do him that justice. Whether they put him in, maybe not. But, like, I think this will at least get him in the conversation. When is
Stahl eligible? Eric Stahl?
Probably after next year.
Okay.
Yeah, when did you retire? I think last...
I think he retired the year Florida lost in the final.
Also, that means this year. Because Phil's available this year too.
So after this year, he'll be eligible to go in then.
Or maybe this year.
No, like this year now.
Him, Kessel.
Okay, so then he is eligible to be on the ballot, but whether or not he will actually
probably
won't go in, he probably won't go in the first time around. Got a little sidetracked there, but another person to congratulate on another crazy record. Rod Brindamore to be the first player to win a Stanley Cup and coach since I think like 1958 or something like that was the last person to win it as a player and a coach.
He was a captain too, right?
Yep.
06? Damn.
So unbelievable to them. Rod the Bod still proving that he's still a jack show and able to handle the Stanley Cup like it's nothing. What I gotta say, that's the one thing. Not to get sound like an old man before we move on, but they just do it right. The handing off of the trophy to the captain. The owners don't get it right away. There's no bullshit interviews. It's Gary says his fucking 5 words that no one wants to hear him say anyway. He hands it to the captain, and then it's paraded around with the boys. And how awesome was it seeing Freddie Anderson get the cup as early as he did?
Yeah, I mean, that just shows his character and how much he's respected in the locker room. Because again, for him to not only get, pulled and then he says he gets hurt and then, the Claude Lemieux thing, and for him to not even be on the bench, that's basically him saying, no, I've been bad, I've been hurt, give Kochetkov the backup just in case. For him, it's all about character, and I think, he knows he's probably not going to be back too. So again, like he's 36 years old now. He's been in the league for a decade. I think you said it before, talking about Freddie, they just do it right. They're a traditional organization. They're all about respect, team oriented. Like you live and die with each other. I was shocked that Freddie was the first guy to get it. I thought it would be Taylor Hall or someone like that. But for Freddie and Taylor Hall to be the first two, it was perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's shows his character, and maybe he knows, like, okay, he took a responsibility there with the way that that whole thing played out, but he was a huge part of this playoff run up until then. So you can't overlook them sweeping and getting all the success. So I think he deserved it. Whether he goes back, he pretty much can do whatever he wants. He can go and test the waters, free agency, see what's out there. Maybe even go back to Carolina as a backup, but
I think there could be suitors for him. Like a team could probably give him $4 million if they're in a really shaky spot.
Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say the landscape for goalies in the league right now is very shaky and very interesting. And
there's only a few elite.
Yeah, no,
there's not many.
There definitely is. And I think if there's one thing that Carolina proved everybody, which kind of going back to the idea of teams maybe trying to cherry pick on how they had their success, was how they had a goalie by committee kind of season. Freddie Anderson played a bunch of games, got hurt. Bussy got picked off of the waivers, played a bunch of games, and then Pachekov played his fair share as well. So
yeah, Florida could use Bussy right now.
I mean, a lot of teams could use a goalie like Bussy, if we're being honest. But speaking of having a luxury of one too many goalies, the Toronto Maple Leafs made quite an interesting trade yesterday that I don't think a lot of people were necessarily prepared for or even thinking it was going to happen. Joseph Woll and Simone Benoit got dealt to the Philadelphia Flyers for Samuel Ersson and what was the guy's first name?
Emil Andre.
Thank you. Emil Andre, and a second round or
the 85th pick in this draft.
Thank you.
Third rounder.
So I feel like, to me, this trade was a glorified cap dump while still receiving a draft pick, and Ersson, depending on how he looks in camp, will probably just end up being the starter for the Marlies or goalie number 3 for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Just because me personally, I think a Stolar's move is probably in the works, and we'll probably have Akhtiamov and Hildeby move on up and be the Leafs 1 and 2, I'd like to think, next year. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think of this trade, and what was your first thoughts? Because for me, I felt like it was, like I said, a glorified cap dump while receiving a bunch of nobodies. But I'll leave the floor to you guys to kind of say how you feel.
Yeah, at first I thought it was one of those trade proposals that you see on Instagram. I didn't think it was real. I thought it was Bleacher Report throwing out potential suitors.
A mock trade. Yeah.
So, I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I look at it, it's a Leafs actual account. I'm like, all right, I guess they traded Joseph Woll.
That's how I felt this morning. That's how I felt this morning.
It's one of those things though where okay, he was injured a lot in the playoffs too. When you need him, he was a savior at times, but also it was a bit of a liability having that cap on your roster and on the payroll. So best select him in Philly. He is still a good goalie when he's on, but they need to move on. And even Stolar's too, his contract kicks in now. It wasn't last year. It was great when they signed it, but he gets injured. So it's one of those things where they have guys in the pipeline at least. The Marlies, 1 win away. Let's hope they win it. Double A there, Akhtiamov.
They looked great. They looked great, dude.
This trade to me is so confusing because, we're out of all the guys that are being dealt in this move, Woll's by far the best guy going the other way, and Dan Vladar, unbelievable season. He wants $6 million. If this guy gets $6 million. When Joseph Woll when his contract is done, he's getting $7 million. So I get where the Leafs are coming from. They hear all the rumors about the goalie contracts in the next year or two, and they're like, we can't afford to pay Woll $7 million. The injury history is too much, like you mentioned. When he's there, he somehow miraculously gets hurt in the big moments, like the Boston Game 6. and he tears his hamstring because he wants the shutout. The mental health we always take seriously. You know, we always wish him well on that matter, but you're getting back Sam Ersson, who I don't know how he made Team Sweden for the Four Nations. Good on him for that, but he's been bad every single year in the NHL. He doesn't have a save over 9. You're getting, I think the only good thing in this trade for the Leafs is Emile Andre. He's like a high upside, like bottom pairing D. He's 24 years old, second round pick. Knowing Chaika, you're probably moving down or moving up with that 85th overall pick. Like, to me, if they are, and I know Nick and you are, I don't know if I am yet, if you are dead set on having Akhtiamov being your backup goalie next year, you didn't have to get Sam Ersson. I think it's just an absolute, like you said, a cap dump, waste of time. Just get rid of Woll. I think this makes room for either a Riley exit in the coming weeks, or you go out and you're signing a Darren Radish at 7 years at $8 million.
Well, the interesting thing with this freeing up of cap space, I think the Leafs now are at like $31 million in cap space.
Come on down, Darren.
Which is something we haven't had the luxury of saying in a long time. And one interesting thing, on Overdrive yesterday, they had Danny Briere on, and they were able to pick his brain a little bit about,
the trade,
about the trade, and kind of like who are these guys, and what did you like about them, and what do you think is next for them, kind of thing. And it was nice to hear Danny Briere obviously be very candid and also speak very well of these guys in terms of what they're like in the locker room. And he more or less said he thinks that they got a lot of potential. He thinks they're really good hockey players. He says he believes that they are NHLers. It's just it was time for them to have some new scenery. And I think it's kind of refreshing when a GM knows what he has to a degree, and he's willing to just be like, you know what? Yeah, you guys are going to be NHLers in some capacity, just not here. So we're going to send you to a place where hopefully you have the opportunity to be that. We also know that they might just get buried on the Marlies here, depending on what this offseason looks like.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they could even get moved at the draft for all we know. So it's interesting to see where they're going. But look, from a fan base and an organization that was starved of changes being made, safe to say the changes have only but just begun.
It's just crazy because I saw like a couple weeks ago, like there were mock trades. It was like Wall for Tippett straight up. And then you're getting this return.
Well,
it's like, oh, okay.
Well, Joseph Wall also had a really dog shit World Championships. So
yeah, he did. Yeah, he
was
was bad for the States. Yeah,
he was really not good.
I mean, I'm excited to see what Philly does now because they have improved. We just bashed Joseph Wall for most of that segment, but if Vladar can do what he did last year, and you have Wall, that's a pretty good 1A, 1B, similar to the Leafs in 2024-25 with when Stolars was on fire. But so you guys are confident that Stolars is getting dealt and Hildeby's our starter next year? I'm not confident in that at all. I think Stolars is our starter to start the year.
So I feel the way I feel about this because given how sour the room went after Stolars said what he said last year, and then Joseph Wall having his time away from the team and then the injuries that followed them throughout the year, I think it's just change of scenery, cut him loose. The other issue is too, like, Hildeby can't get put on waivers next year. So you're kind of handcuffed in that situation with how well he's played. And I think Akhtiamov...
would you run one less roster player to keep 3 goalies all year? Because that's what Carolina did. And look how that worked out.
The Leafs might have to in this case. But
nobody wants Akhtiamov to play like 8 games. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. If he can play, you'll have him play all of his games on the Marlies.
Yeah, conditioning stint.
Yeah.
The loophole.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, with Hildeby not being eligible to just go up and down, you're kind of handcuffed if you're the Leafs.
He will not clear waivers. No way.
No, especially with how he's looked, even when the Leafs have played bad defensively. So I think a Stolars move is on the books just because more cap space allows for more moves to be made, and we can save a ton of money on our goalies, knowing that if it is going to be Ersson, Hildeby and Akhtiamov. I think most Leaf fans, knowing how well the two Marlies goalies have played, we'd be okay with that. So,
well, at the end of the day, we don't know what we are as a team. That's the funny part about this whole thing. I can tell you we're rebuilding, retooling, we're a contender. Like, I can tell you all these different things because we have so many directions we can go in. Like Gavin McKenna next year, we don't know. He can get 80 points. We have no idea. He could be an absolute beast. Or he could be dog shit and he could struggle. Or we could have Sam Ersson come in camp and be the starter. Like you don't know any of these things. And like, again, you guys know how I used to feel about Matthew Nyes. I was not the biggest fan of him. Easton Cowan has proven to me in the last month and a half that A, you're too good for the AHL because you're absolutely torching it. B, this improves his development. And C, now what are the expectations for him next year? Are we starting to talk 60 points? Are we starting to talk more of a leadership, like I don't want to say it, but like, is he going to be like a Darcy Tucker type of player? Like a guy that kills people, fights, and scores? Like, these are where the expectations to me are too wonky to know. So that's why when I see a trade like this, I laugh. I'm just like, oh, okay, it's change. We'll see what happens.
Well, okay. Before we talk about the real change that Leaf fans have been starving for over the last month and a bit, it feels like, because it felt like it was taking too long. I think it's safe to say that the Leafs are in a good spot in terms of where Easton Cowan is.
Yeah.
And
even Danford.
The way they're playing amongst men in the AHL, it's very reassuring. And the success that team as a whole is having, I think will help fill some of the spots, or at least give the Leafs flexibility in trying to have leverage in obtaining assets with them as though with not Easton Cowan or Danford, but with other assets from the Marlies going out the door in return, because they're playing unbelievable. They look so good. The fact that they shut out Chicago the other night and then madness ensued and they're only one win away, like, I'm excited. It's awesome. The Marlies don't get enough credit, it seems like, that, like, ever. So the fact that they're on the verge of winning a Calder Cup for the first time since 2018, it's a pretty big deal. Good luck to them. But speaking of change, I don't think it's change for the sake of change, that trade nonetheless, but the change that finally came. The Toronto Maple Leafs hired a head coach today, finally, but it was a guy that, in a lot of cases, was not on anybody's board, on anybody's radar, and was not in the media at all. Former LA Kings coach Jim Hiller was hired this morning as the Toronto Maple Leafs, I believe it was 41st NHL coach or something like that.
It's in the 40s.
Yeah. Needless to say, though, it's an exciting hire, although he wasn't the guy he wasn't the sexiest name or the guy that was plastered everywhere.
I was going to say underwhelming hire.
Well, but let me at least frame it why I think it's a good hire. He was an assistant coach or the power play coach when Mike Babcock was here. So that was when the power play was actually thriving, so to speak. And we all know he's a player's coach. He knows the guys that are in the room already. He knows our stars. So I think, albeit he is more of a defensive coach, I think he knows what the issues are in the room enough to get the best out of these guys. And I think this will only bode well for the Leafs going forward with the issues or the unforeseen or known issues that Austin Matthews has or that William Nylander has been dealing with. So I think it's, albeit, okay, sure, it's not the over-the-moon hire. I do think, though, it is a step in the right direction, and now we might be able to have a better idea as to what identity this team will have going forward. But what are your thoughts on the trade? I know Chris kind of alluded to it being underwhelming, but Aulino, what are your thoughts on the hire?
I won't say underwhelming, but not what I expected type of thing. Like, yeah, he has a resume in the league. He deserves recognition and this kind of opportunity, but is this going to help the Leafs? Like, he was there, and they kind of failed when he was here. Mike Babcock, Game 7s with Boston, he was there for that. So what makes this Leafs brass and management think that it's going to change? So I hope that was one of the questions they asked him in this meeting, and I also want to know which GM/executive, whether it's Sundin or Chayka, was responsible for approving it, because if this doesn't work out, Keith Belly's going to look down and say, okay, who am I firing that made this decision? Because this is your guy now. So there's a lot of questions after this. I hope they answer when there's a press conference.
Yeah, I think they hired him just because of just because of he's been there before. You know, I think they're very scared with the Matthews situation, as they should be, but they're accommodating their players first, which to me is a red flag. I don't think it's always best to just accommodate your players. There were way better coaches available. That's why I say underwhelming. Cassidy, I even think Woodcroft's a better coach than this guy. I know
he's a player's coach though as well, Woodcroft.
I think the coach that got fired in Edmonton's a hell of a coach too. Jim Hiller, his time with LA was actually quite exciting for LA because they were, again, in a funk. Their window was up. They were in like a retool, and he was like 5th best offensive rated for those 3 years. So like if you're going to be 3rd highest rated, 4th highest rated offensive efficiency with that LA team, and you're coming to this Leaf team that has all the weapons in the world, and now you're adding Gavin McKenna, that's the exciting part about it. But the worrying part about it is he's been here before with most of this core. So like Aulino said, you have to ask the right questions. Were they asked? I don't know. We weren't there. But there's a lot of questions that have to be answered because it's year 11 now with Matthews and Willie? Like, it's a long time coming. You bring back another guy. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but it is a ballsy hire knowing that he's been here before.
Well, I do think, going to the success he had with the offense, he also had a really good those teams had really good defensive ratings as well. So definitely one thing that we all know the Leafs fucking were dog shit at last year was playing defense and trying to break out of their own end. So I think, with him, I think it's a gamble knowing that he's been here. They haven't had the success even when he was here in a smaller capacity. I think though, knowing the upside that is there, given his stint with LA, and they were much weaker and less experienced team than the Leafs. I think it could work out to a happy medium to where the Leafs should be in the playoffs next year or this coming year, and we'll just have to go from there because at this point, it's not any of the guys we thought were going to get hired. I don't think Vegas is going to let Bruce Cassidy coach at all this coming season. Which I think is a real shame. Like, I get it, he's under contract, but you can't hold a guy hostage like that.
No.
Especially when he is more than qualified to coach any team or go do what he wants. At the end of the day, he's going to get paid, but it's a shame. Woodcroft, I don't like Woodcroft just because of how poorly it ended in Edmonton. Yeah, he's been a really good assistant coach for Quenneville and Anaheim, so that would have been interesting to see, but yeah, it's not the name we all expected, but fingers crossed it goes our way, and it's a step in the right direction at the end of the day. So the NHL draft is 8 days away, maybe?
I think just over 10, maybe 11. I think it's the 27th, 26th.
Yeah, end of June.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like it's all been but confirmed that Gavin McKenna will be a Leaf.
He will. Yeah.
I would hope so with all the documentaries.
No, right? Like
the combine solidified it.
All the sit downs and
Imagine they just pull a fast one. They make this poor kid.
I could picture it. Sundin smile. Stenberg.
Stenberg.
IKEA Swedish meatballs.
There you go.
No, that would be crazy.
That's McKenna for sure.
What are your thoughts, guys? This is the last thing, and then we're going to move on to the World Cup because that deserves the valid time that it does. And then we're going to talk about our picks and then our little spin on our Light the Lamp picks as well. And then we're going to get out of here because there are a couple more games that maybe they're not worth watching, but we're going to try to watch them anyway. The Matthew Nye stuff. Yeah. Is this guy getting traded?
No.
Is this guy not?
No.
Like, if you were Matt Sundin, or if you were Matthew Nyes in this instance, don't you think you would want the organization to have a chat with you to either ignore all these rumors, squash them, you're here to stay, you're not going anywhere, or be honest with the guy and be like, look, we don't want to trade you, but at the end of the day, if we get offered something that is too good to pass up, we might have to, like, it is a business at the end of the day. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Is it kind of like what we talked about prior when Montreal had the sour grapes about getting eliminated and all the leaks came out and they're just trying to ruffle the feathers of a star player in a market? Or do we think that there might be some actual validity to some of these possible rumors?
It's got to be a top pairing defenseman back. Or if we're rebuilding, it's a top 4 pick this year. So, no, I don't think you trade Matty Nyes. I don't think that's the smart decision. Is he worth the contract right now? Probably not after the year he had. But, again, he's got another 6 years with that. I still think it's a bargain contract if he can get you 35 goals, be one of the big parts of this leadership core moving forward, which he will. Yeah, no, there's no way. I'm not trading him.
Yeah, I'm not trading him either, but maybe they're purposely leaking this out, keeping his name out there to build interest, because he doesn't have a no move like the other guys where he has to waive something. So they're pretty much looking at the market, seeing what teams would be willing to offer, and maybe they do look at San Jose and see maybe we can offer a 1-for-1 swap for that pick. But if it's not like that, then I wouldn't trade him unless you're getting a huge haul in return.
No, I agree. I don't want Matthew Nyes being traded. It's just it seems like it's nonstop. The rumors went away, then they came back, then they went away, then they came back, and now they're
Montreal things.
Yeah, and
again.
it's
that was weird.
Guys, what's going on? It's crazy. I mean, Kesselring got traded today to San Jose as well. Yeah. That was more or less just like a pick swap for Kesselring and another pick, but it's crazy. Chris more or less made this question pop into my mind with what he just said. With the hiring of Jim Hiller, do you guys think that this is, I don't think it is, but retool or rebuild with him being hired?
No, it's a retool for sure. You're already done a rebuild with Matthews, Willie, and McKenna. You're not a team that should be bottom 5 next year. So retool is the right word. I'm not going to say contender, but I'd say bubble team, retooling team.
Yeah, I think they're a fringe playoff one and a few other moves. And if McKenna comes out and he's unbelievable and he's ready for the NHL, I think this is a wild card team next year. So I think retool, because
that might even be too harsh for me.
Yeah,
it's like an over exaggerated.
It's like a Bruins.
Yeah,
it's like the Bruins
rebuild. If they got the 4th or 5th pick, I think we're looking at a different team right now next year.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
With McKenna coming in, I think it fast tracks a lot of things.
Well, especially with the success that the Marlies have had. Danford's going to play next year at this rate. Cowan should play. Cowan should be second line. Maybe you want to try him at first line beginning of the year.
Cowan might be first line.
So and there are guys that might
not with Domi out
might make the jump. There are some guys that might make the jump from that team.
I saw we signed Cobbler. Love that.
Yeah,
yes, we did see him. Yes. So
go Leafs, go, man.
I think they're gonna be a young, fun, and exciting team next year. I hope they make the playoffs, but
first round we're gonna play Montreal, knock them out.
Wouldn't that be something?
After they win the Presidents.
Needless to say, although hockey season is over, it's about to get very interesting very quickly with the draft and then free agency right around the corner. But now it's time to talk about the World's Game, the biggest stage of them all. And what a first week, and it hasn't been a week, but it feels like it's been a week of these games. Albeit some of the results have been really wonky and wacky and all over the place. Some interesting stories have already started. Some teams haven't shown up to games that they should have won. And one guy more or less had already confirmed he was the GOAT, but he just double stamp of approval as of last night. Guys, what are your thoughts of the World Cup been the last few days? Is Canada going to make it out of the group? Because that was quite underwhelming, that game. Big game tomorrow against Qatar. Leo Messi's the GOAT. How deep do we think they might go after he scores 3 goals last night? And I think it's safe to say some of the competition isn't as watered down as we thought it was.
Yeah, I think what we've seen, I was surprised at some of the games. Capo Verde against Spain.
Yeah, what the fuck was that, Spain?
I was expecting a World Junior 10-0 result. That goalie's going to be set for life.
40 years old. 40 years old.
Everything that he got after that, even if he doesn't play, he can just pull up and say, you know what, I hurt myself in training. The guy's going to be set when this World Cup's over. So good for him. Germany and Curacao broke my fucking heart for them. Like that was poor team.
That was, yeah, but come on, we all knew the result like that was going to happen. 7-1 warranted.
Even what was it? England, like we were watching before here. That was a great game. Two powerhouses over
4-2. I first game of their group, and that felt like that could have been a semifinal
easily.
The star players were in form today. They were good.
Even Congo against Portugal. Portugal looked.
Oh Jesus!
Looked.
I wanna cash out my Portugal to win. That was scary.
Hey, Argentina had a rough start to the World Cup. Last World Cup, and they won. So anything is possible, but I will say this Portugal team, I think, and it sounds crazy even saying it. You take Ronaldo off the field, I think they play a much better game, and they're harder to deal with. But they just looked like they were out-muscled against the Congo, and good on them on forcing a draw. But man,
I think the ref kind of made the decision early when he gave Bernardo Silva a yellow in like the 12th minute. First tackle. It was, but like usually,
set the tone there.
Usually you get like maybe one warning. Right away it was, no, that's a yellow, and Ronaldo was pissed, and Bernardo Silva was very, conservative the rest of the way in the midfield.
Well, I mean, when you go cleats up on the inside of a guy's ankle, when you got to dive, like when you're sliding across, cleats up, that's a yellow card all day. Doesn't matter if it's first. If it's his second or third, he's getting shown a second yellow and he's off the field. So
he was card happy today.
At the time, it seemed like it was a little much, but like when you saw that replay, I was like, no, that's a yellow every day of the week. But I think we're going to have some interesting games. The rest of the night, it's going to be the Colombia game I'm kind of looking forward to. And even the Panama and Ghana game should be interesting.
It's on right now? Or at 7?
It's 7 o'clock, so it's going to start shortly here. But guys, Canada, Qatar tomorrow. That game I feel like is a must win.
They have to win that.
I'm starting Kyle Larin tomorrow if I'm Jesse Marsh.
Probably won't.
He probably won't, but here's another question.
Mr. David.
You playing Alphonso Davies at least 15 to 20 minutes tomorrow if you absolutely have to?
Yeah, oh yeah. If we're tied or, like 65th, 70th minute, you're putting him on.
Yeah, I won't start him. I'll take it second half.
No, I think he has to play tomorrow. I wouldn't start him.
Yeah.
I think you got to start Schaffelberg tomorrow as well.
Miller was not it.
Oh, yeah.
Liam Miller, he didn't have the greatest game. He did create some interesting attacking opportunities, but
Buchanan's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Ali Ahmed's there too.
Yeah, Ali Ahmed,
yeah.
But they struggled with the final link up against Bosnia. They were able to, break them down in the middle of the field, get to their 18, and then when it came to the final link up just to get to goal and have the opportunity, they didn't get it done. They struggled, and Jonathan David point blank, it feels like anybody and their grandmother can make that point blank from the penalty spot. All it is a one-touch opposite side cross body. It's in the back of the net. Easier said than done, obviously, but on the biggest stage, he plays for Juventus, the biggest club of any of the players besides Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich. You'd figure he'd pop that in the back of the net.
And he scored in the Champions League too, so many times against the best teams that are there. So it's like, what happened to him where he doesn't know how to finish all of a sudden? It's crazy.
The Monstars took his powers.
Yeah, Bosnia decided to steal his powers mid-game with some voodoo or something. But as of right now, guys, who do you guys like? It feels like all the teams obviously haven't played yet, which they haven't. But given the games that have occurred and some of the upsets or even the shockers that we've seen, who's due for the biggest bounce back, and who is your new favorite if you have one?
So I said Portugal, definitely not them right now. They have a lot of adjustments to do. I think France looks insane. Yeah. They killed Senegal. Mbappe is his usual international self, scoring every game. I like what we said last week about like potential teams to go far, that's Sweden and Norway. They've looked amazing too.
Holland is
unbelievable.
Yeah, like Norway, they're aggressive, they're big, they're mean. You know, just because they're blonde and like they're mean, they're ruthless.
Well, they're Vikings.
They're Vikings.
They're not nice.
No, but they look nice. They don't look too intimidating. But then when they start, and again, I got to say Argentina because
that was unbelievable.
Just the tactical offense that we saw was perfection from a 38-year-old.
Yeah,
Aulino.
I agree. France in their form. This could be, I think, their third straight World Cup final. So
Yeah.
I got them as a favorite right now. And in terms of other teams, like even out of the group, I won't say they'll make it to the final, but Canada, if they can figure this out, they got a gift there with Switzerland and Qatar tying because now the goal differential is the same. Both 1-1. You get a big result tomorrow. You can even finish top of the group. So
you could.
As crazy as that sounds, I like our Vaughn guy, Promise David, off the bench.
Yes.
That's the David that I think should start. Good Promise David a shot. I think he's going to surprise some people here. And Norway. As long as Erling Haaland is on his game, that team is going to be a nightmare to figure out because I think he can will them on into the knockout rounds.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was relentless.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole squad was relentless. But I said this to Chris, and I didn't get to say this to you, Aulino. As great as they looked offensively, there were times where they looked really suspect defensively. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're going to have goals on demand, more or less.
Yeah.
So as long as they're able to get the ball to Holland or to Sorloth or to even some of the other players that they have,
like Odegaard.
With Odegaard pulling the strings in the middle there, they should be able to bag 2 to 3 goals a game. So I do like Norway as a bit of a dark horse. I feel like I might have already stated that. But for me, I mean, yeah, if Canada's able to figure out the goals, because they kind of alluded to when David had his struggles in the Gold Cup, when we won the Gold Cup, he figured it out. And then it was like the switch got flipped, and then Canada was just able to score like 2 or 3 goals a game. And then, we had the success and we won. So if they're able to do that, they have a very different kind of look that most teams aren't used to playing against. So it could be in their favor. At the end of the day, I maybe see them getting past the first knockout round. Yeah. But for me, if Argentina is going to play like that every game, good fucking luck. But I really like the way Germany and France they didn't care. They're just like, first game, decimated. Like, sure, the scoreline was closer in the France game than it might have, shown. Olise,
superstar player.
Sadio Mane too.
Like
those guys are fucking unreal.
I'm going to say this, and some people might already be thinking this. Michael Olise is the best attacking midfielder in the world.
Yeah, probably.
The way he's able to, he's looking like Zizou-esque with the way he's spinning and changing position and having guys just second-guessing themselves. And then obviously Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, and the rest of that squad.
Dembele had an off game. They still potted 3.
Yeah. So
terrifying team.
Like everyone's saying, France looks unbelievable. Well, they are.
They are.
Yeah. They are. This should be their tournament to win. But ultimately, when it is as such, it is also 10 times more theirs to lose. It's going to be exciting. It's only going to get better. The stories are going to get better. The goals are going to get better. The saves, the drama,
the quality will get better.
Let's hope so.
The only
once the teams start getting eliminated,
Brazil, you got to wake up.
Yeah, that was rough.
That's all I got to say.
Morocco can't just get one.
Morocco, not for nothing. I thought they had it in them to win that game, and they couldn't. So they got to take it just another step. But man, it's the one thing I hated of these fucking hydration breaks.
Yeah, I can't stand
it. It ruins the flow of the game for me.
So much. I know, given the temperatures in the U.S., how much hotter it is. I understand, but
stupid.
You just want more money for the commercials.
If you're in SoFi Stadium, do you need a hydration break? The thing's indoors. Come on.
Well, even today,
it's too early to take a break in the 25th minute. What are we doing here?
Well, teams are finally getting into their rhythm at that point.
Exactly. 25th minute. What are we doing?
And then all of a sudden they come back. It's now we don't. It's like we're starting all over, and it's sloppy out there.
It is, and
terrible for the game.
Goaltending's been horrible. For the most part, minus the Capo Verde goalie, and maybe the Saudi Arabia goalie.
Yeah, he was amazing in that game.
Uruguay should have fucking won that game.
Even though they tied, they looked amazing. Uruguay.
Well, because they woke up. They had a bad first half, and they realized we might actually lose to Saudi Arabia. So then they flipped the switch, and then they showed their quality. But speaking of quality, now it's time for us to actually talk about our picks that were in the mix last week, because albeit it had a lot of variety, I think we had some decent quality.
2 for 4 for me.
And then we also got to talk about the nice little spin that we have on our Light the Lamp picks for this week. Chris, you alluded to being 2 for 4 last week for your picks. Enlighten us on the picks that will be in the mix for this week. I feel like we don't necessarily need to
talk about last week,
just given how big this week is and everything that we got going forward.
I will say one thing about one of my picks last week that I did call and I was really happy was my plus 275 Morocco-Brazil tie. So I will take some confidence and praise on that pick. But again, moving to this week, and again, I did go 1 for 2 with the anytime goal scores in the NHL last week. I had Dorofeev. For this week, I'm going with 3 games. Actually, no, every pick is actually World Cup. So first play I have, Switzerland to beat Bosnia-Herzegovina, minus 188. That's the first play. Second play, we got Mexico and South Korea to tie.
That's going to be a good game.
South Korea, just when you thought was going to win against Czech, they kind of dropped their guard and kept letting goals. And Mexico's offense looks good, but I like the tie there. USA to beat Australia at minus 167. I think, USA looked amazing. Australia, not so much. Better offensively. And my fourth and final play, which is going to kind of tie into my light the lamp, Rafinha to score or assist against Haiti. That's at minus 250. You put that all together, boys, plus 1033.
Not too shabby. Aulino, what do you got for this week, whether it's all World Cup or a little bit of a variety?
Yeah, thank God we're not talking about last week because I went 0 for 4. So I want to put that behind me. This week, though, I got a little bit of a mix here. I went Asian heavy on the picks here.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to start. You went with Mexico. I like South Korea in this to bounce back.
Yep.
It was a fairly competitive game last week with the Czechs. I was impressed. First game of the tournament in Mexico. They're both dealing with the travel, the climate. So I think South Korea is going to bounce back and take out the hosts here. I think it's going to be a close game. But plus 290 for me is too hard to pass up. Then I'm going to go with Norway-Senegal. I'm not going to go result. I'm just going to go with Erling Haaland because it's probably the best thing to do if you're seeing Norway here. So Erling Haaland to score anytime against Senegal. That's at minus 110. I got Japan as a favorites here against Tunisia. I think they should win unless hell freezes over. We've seen something happen in this tournament, but we'll see. I think Japan, though, the quality they have, I think they should get it done. And the final one here, he's a plus money here. He's not the favorite. He's coming in as an underdog. Japan's Kyoji Horiguchi in the main event to take out Manel Kape. I think he's the best flyweight in the world. It's still a hot take because of his age, but he's a beast. He came in back to the UFC after a 10-year absence, beats up a Dagestani prospect, takes out the next guy in his other fight, and I think he's going to continue that. So give me Kyoji Horiguchi there. You put that all in a parlay on Bet365, 26-39.
Wow. Talk about juice to the max. Even though I think I got more juice this week.
Oh, my God.
Last week we went 2 for 2. The two big favorites, Canada and Switzerland shot the bed for me on the money line. But we did get Mexico on the money line and the Hurricanes on the money line. So that was nice. A nice little treat for the week. But now we're going to talk about the picks for this week. And we got a nice little mix of a little bit of everything. Starting off, we are going to start with some World Cup action. I'm going with Canada in a must-win situation on the money line against Qatar at minus 350. Vancouver is going to be rocking. BC Place is going to be filled with Canada fans. Hopefully they get the job done and kick off the momentum of a lifetime for this World Cup journey. Moving on to some more World Cup action, I got USA and Australia to tie at plus 333. Australia looked really confident and strong, and the fact they were able to score a couple goals in the first game gives me the confidence that they'll be able to handle the offense and play some defense against the on-fire USA. Moving on to the baseball diamond, a little bit of little bit of variety with some value here. I'm going with the Milwaukee Brewers on the run line at -1.5 against the Cleveland Guardians at +160. Milwaukee at home is a tough team to win against. They tend to knock the ball around their park pretty good. And last but not least, we're going to the U.S. Open at Shinnecock this week. We're going with Cam Young to have a top 5 finish, including ties, at +450. You put these 4 together in a 4-leg parlay on Bet365. I think I brought the whole tree with me this week. We're going at +7,867 odds. It's not far-fetched, guys. Anything can happen given with what has already happened at the World Cup. And with the other sports, the ball just has to land and bounce a certain way a few times for us. But needless to say, we're always bringing you guys variety and value. But now it's time for the spin, given the fact that it is World Cup and our Light the Lamp picks will now change to the back of the net. We're putting it in the back of the net, boys. Who do we got? We got 2 goal scorers each for the World Cup for the rest of the week. Chris, who do you got that's going to put the ball in the back of the net for their country at the World Cup?
Well, like for me, I did take Rafinha to score or assist in my parlay pick, and I'm just taking him here to score against Haiti. He's the second favorite behind Vinny. I think Vinny's going to get a lot of attention. Rafinha's been amazing. Give me him to score at +100. I think at any guy that's like a top 3 option at plus money against Haiti is just unbelievable to take. So +100 for Rafinha, and I'm also parlaying that. I think the Netherlands-Sweden game is going to be like the England-Croatia one today, like a 3-2-ish kind of game. So give me Cody Gakpo to score. I know he's a midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder, but he does take a lot of free kicks. He does take, I think, the penalty too. Give me Cody Gakpo at +155. Put that together, +410.
Not too shabby. Aulino, who do you got that's going to put the ball in the back of the net for their nations at the World Cup?
So this one might not be a surprise because the 2 teams involved, but Curaçao's been a very nice story. They got their nice moment. I don't think they care what happens in the next 2 games because they got their goal at the World Cup against Germany. So I think this game we're going to see Enter Valencia for Ecuador. I think he gets on the score sheet here. He's one of their focal points there in the attack. So I see Curaçao letting in a few, and he's going to be one of the guys that score for Ecuador. And I'm going with the same group there, Germany, Ivory Coast. I think Kai Havertz still scores another one. I think he's going to be a big player for Germany if they want to make it through in the World Cup in the knockout round. So I think Kai Havertz scores maybe a penalty. I'll go because I think this is going to be a little bit of a chippy game there.
A little spicy, eh? What do you got when you put those 2 in a parlay?
Oh, you put it together +262. So I think the Ecuador one lowers it a little bit. But Kai Havertz plus money there on Bet365.
Not too shabby. For me, I got some interest. I think they're interesting picks. They're definitely not the typical picks. I mean, one of them definitely after his performance in the first game for the U.S. I got Florian Balogun for the United States to score a goal against Australia at +120. He was unbelievable against Paraguay. I did not think they were that far apart, but they definitely were. Moving on to the next game, Switzerland and Bosnia, a massive one for Switzerland if they want to have any chance of trying to get out of the group. Higher than obviously 3, hopefully to be second or first. I'm going with Ruben Vargas to score at any time against Bosnia for Switzerland at +220. You put these 2 in a 2-leg parlay, you're looking at +604 on Bet365. A little bit of a juicier pick in comparison to the other ones, but at the end of the day, with it being the World Cup, anything can happen, and any of these guys can rise to the occasion, as we've seen already throughout the tournament. But needless to say, guys, we had a lot to talk about this episode. We rambled a little bit about hockey, but when don't we? Although the season is over, it is very much just getting started all over again. The World's Game is on full display. Make sure you guys don't miss out on any of it because there's always something to see, and it's always a treat. The NBA has come and gone. Congratulations to the New York Knicks on winning that championship, as well as the Carolina Hurricanes. Guys, make sure you check us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out on everywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Until next week, guys, peace.